The Foxes are back in Devon. Tom Davies has a bumper couple of weeks despite this artful dodger.
His head down to run at us and I shot straight over the top.
New kids on the stock. Terry Doe is teaching young Reece Chart the importance of trigger technique and follow through.
And you're still hitting those targets every single time.
Cai Ap Bryn is cooking a firm summer favourite, venison burgers with a Weschenfelder twist.
Very aggressive.
Farming Britain is out, more on that later in the show. David plants himself on the Fieldsports channel news stump, and James brings you the latest YouTube hunting films in this week's Hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain.
The silage cart is a fox favourite. They come in from miles around to feed on the remains of birds and small animals caught up in the blades of the mowers. And that brings in the fox shooters.
Last week had the first load of silage cut, and just on one farm, well, it's two farms but same farmers, hit 38 foxes off that one area. Only 8 of those were cubs. A lot of travelling dogs feeding for cubs, I suppose, getting the food in. Good start to the live foxing season. And last year was quiet on the foxes, and that was everywhere around here. Whether it's because most people are using better kit these days with thermal and night vision, and it's getting on top, I don't know, or it's bad breeding season.
How many did you get last year?
Yeah, it was about 120 last year, and normally I would do about 200. And there's quite a lot of people which I know were down on numbers and what they were controlling.
We're out on farmland on Dartmoor. Tonight, the Devon weather is against us.
It's been nice sunny weather all day, and as soon as we've come out, it's come in misty, wet, horrible Dartmoor weather, really. Usual stuff.
In order to shoot foxes in volume, Tom is tech dependent, and the weather isn't great for either electronics or optics. Tom has views on what to use in which conditions.
I'd personally pick the thermal scope over night vision scope in this weather, although it won't be as clear, but the night vision, with night vision the IR will pick up what's in front, so if you've got thick fog it will just white out, or rain, the IR picks up the rain. You can still see, but it does pick up the rain. It's a bit annoying when you're trying to shoot, but if it's thick fog it will just white out the scope.
Tom starts calling from a position in the middle of one of the big cut fields. He is sure that there are foxes behind the hedgerows. And he's right, it doesn't take long. Now, you may have spotted a fox shooting technique that Tom has been working on.
So tonight, I'm using night vision, but for the last sort of 3 or so years I've been using thermal. And one thing I've noticed in the last 2 weeks using the night vision is some foxes, as soon as you put the IR on, they'll come to a halt and look at you straight away, whether the IR is too bright or something, I don't know. But so what I've been doing, that the Pulsar C50 actually has very good light intake, and you can see without the IR. So when I'm calling a fox, like I did with this one on the video, I watched it come in, and then when it comes to a point when I wanted to shoot, I flick the IR on, and you actually see the fox stop instantly. Yeah, it's weird. As soon as you flick it on, they literally, you see them put their feet down, like just that bit of red beam, I presume, from the IR. Whereas thermal, you don't get any of that. For problem foxing, thermal, 100%. You're a lot quicker as well, thermal. Especially sorting out brood cubs, or if you've got a few foxes in one field, once you shot the first one, you can go straight onto the next one a lot quicker. But night vision, yeah, it's good. I like doing it. You can pinpoint your shots better with night vision compared to thermal.
Fox number 2 is a jump out of the truck and a snapshot. Tom uses the same technique, and again, there's no need to shout or whistle to stop Fox 2. Fox 3 is a trickier customer.
Oh, you bugger. Sniffing around on the silage behind us, and didn't know we were there, so I'd done a little mouse squeak, and it lifted its head up. As soon as it lifted its head up, I went to shoot it, but it must have been hungry, because as soon as I'd done that, it put its head down to run at us, and I shot straight over the top, but luckily stopped again, and I got him. But yeah, no, that was a keen fox. Yeah, obviously hungry. But I know there are, so that's a dog fox. There's a brew of cubs up here, which I can't see, so I'm presuming it's hunting for them. 2 lots of cubs I sorted last week. They were good size. That, you know, they were out middle of the fields hunting themselves. But obviously you do get those later ones, which will be still cute and fluffy.
Now, nobody would accuse Tom of being a fair weather foxer, but we both feel it's time to head indoors long before he would normally pack up. Back at Tom's yard, there's time for a wrap-up chat and a revelation which may be of interest to Devon deer stalkers.
We've done a new area this evening, which we had 2 from, then went to another area where I shot a lot from recently, had the 1, but didn't see the cubs, which I knew were there. They were tucked away, but yeah, still had 3, which is good. Still got a lot of standing grass around here, so I'll wait for that to be cut before we hit that. But yeah, good start. So it's the Pulsar Merger XP50, which is weather conditions like this evening where it's, you know, poor weather. They're perfect for that. They cut through it a lot better than other models. And then scope, I was using the Pulsar Dig XT50 night vision. Yeah, so the other day a farmer said to me he saw some small deer. So I said I was just roe, and he said, "Oh, is there muntjac down here?" And I said no. And that evening I was out shooting foxes, and yeah, I saw a muntjac. So yeah, that's the first sighting I've had in Devon. Yeah, I've heard of people saying squat on the roads and stuff. I've never seen one. I haven't heard one, you know, bark while stalking or anything like that. So yeah, it's nice to see, and surprise.
Once they establish in West Devon, that will be another venison to add to Tom's menu. And you can find out more about his firm, Dartmoor Deer Services, via the link below.
Thank you, Tom. Now, in this week's Fieldsports Extra, we have a feral hog, an election update, and a Scotsman who's heading to China.
It's going to be an interesting year. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
We are giving away a squirrel feeder this week, priced at £98. Here's Keith Watson from Keith's High Seats to explain.
Right, basically I had quite a few squirrels that I needed to control, so I come up with my own feeder. It's 100mm square box section, 3mm thick, flap style. So basically what happens, the squirrel comes and stands on there, pushes his head in, takes a nut, the flap goes down, so the feed lasts quite a long time. Loops on the back for you to strap it to a tree, or you've got fixing holes top and bottom in case you can screw it if the tree's got no value. Captive lid, locks back on, and although that's got my company name on, it also attracts the squirrels because it's a viewpoint. They get to see it from up the tree, come down to have a look, find the nut, gets a little fairy creature on. They work charmful. I've used 2 of these last year and a little bit of this year. I've shot 468 squirrels out of 1 60-acre wood. So it's good woodland management, good for the wildlife, good for the environment. And I also sell the squirrels to eagle breeders, so they're recycled back into it. So I think it's a cracking little product, and I'm happy to give one away.
There's a link to it below. Easiest way to win it is to watch Fieldsports Extra, which goes out the night before this show, only to Fieldsports members. Now with insurance, easiest way to watch Fieldsports Extra is to join those members. We'll send you a goodie box. Our insurance covers you for legal issues over certificate renewal, and all members with or without insurance get free access to our fab Fieldsports Advice Bureau. Layla the lawyer is there to help you with field sports related issues. Next up, more nuts. It's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. It's going to be the biggest day ever for field sports when Britain goes to the polls on the 4th of July 2024.
This election will be seen alongside of really big elections in our history, like 1910, 1945, 1997, and now 2024.
That's the verdict from Basque, which says that so many key issues will be decided by whoever takes power after the general election. There may never have been a bigger day at the ballot box for shooting and conservation. The shooting organisation is urging all voters to understand where candidates they may vote for stand.
The key issue is whether candidates support sustainable shooting conducted according to the law. Whether they support an effective and efficient firearms licensing system. Whether they recognise the benefits that shooting delivers to the country as a whole, not only environmental, but we provide management and conservation hours equivalent to 26,000 jobs. That's an amazing input into the countryside, and politicians should value it, and often they don't even realise it happens.
The Countryside Alliance believe that Labour will take power from the Conservatives in July. It's urging whoever's in government to take note of rural issues, the work of farmers and the value of hunting, shooting and fishing to the economy.
The outcome of the general election seems fairly inevitable, but we'd urge any incoming party to consider certain things for the benefit of rural Britain. One of these is rural crime, on the increase, particularly the likes of fly tipping. Other than this, we know that our farmers and producers, rural producers, need more support.
If you'd like to avoid watching Chris Packham on your TV, then why not try the real Spring Watch instead? While he and Michaela Strachan pop out the party line on the BBC, here are pictures from cameras set up on moorland in the Peak District, celebrating what the Peak District Moorland Group calls the real thing. It's the 4th year the group has set up the event, which celebrates the benefits gamekeepers provide on managed grouse moors. It's broadcast on social media and is in direct competition to the BBC version, shown at 8 p.m. each night. It's also blissfully Packham free. You can watch the live pictures by clicking the link below. The Scottish Gamekeepers Association has released a new film in which they say that the government's stats about deer numbers in the Highlands is a lie. The SGA says official figures claiming problems with Scotland's deer population try to pin the blame on sporting estates in the north of the country. Instead, the SGA says its research shows there are problems with deer in much less rural areas, particularly in the lowlands and in green spaces around cities. It says that of the million deer the Scottish Government estimates live in Scotland, 750,000 aren't red deer living in the north, but are other species concentrated around the urban central belt. Link to the SGA film below. A Scottish estate is re-establishing red squirrels. A conservation industry body has released 6 of them onto the Drimmin estate on the Morven Peninsula in the Scottish Highlands. Landowners and gamekeepers hope the animals will thrive because there are no local populations of greys, which carry a virus that kills the reds. According to the Scottish Squirrels website, the nearest grey squirrel sighting is in Aberfeldy, more than 100 miles away. 5 years is too long for a gun certificate. That's the conclusion of an inquiry into the murder of a mother and her 2 young children in 2020. Robert Needham shot and killed Kelly Fitzgibbons and her 2 daughters in West Sussex 4 years ago. A domestic homicide review says Needham had lied about his mental health and a previous conviction on the application for his shotgun licence. However, the review concluded that the gap between renewal and review, which currently stands at 5 years, should be shorter to account for potential changes in circumstance. The review concluded no agency or organisation could have prevented the deaths. Thanks to Timothy Field for the story. It looks like the kitchen will be another of the battlefields contested in the general election. The Daily Mail says that Labour donor Dale Vince is demanding the party bring in a meat tax to push more people towards veganism. It's unlikely to become policy. Labour leader Keir Starmer recently appeared on a Channel 4 cooking show where he produced a dish of tandoori salmon and then revealed a love of bacon sandwiches had forced him to abandon being a veggie because he loves eating meat. Children struggling with loneliness could be prescribed fishing trips to help with their mental health. A study by University College London recommends angling as one of the new social prescriptions to be used by the NHS. It says that the sport can help those aged between 9 and 13 to deal with mental health difficulties, which it says have become prevalent since the COVID pandemic. Other activities recommended include museums, trips, and even Charlie's favourite, needlework. And finally, one of the most famous fish ever landed by an angler is up for sale. Clarissa the carp was captured by Richard Walker in 1952 and was recognised as a world record weighing 44 pounds. The capture from a lake in Herefordshire is regarded by many as one of the most significant in modern angling and paved the way for modern carp fishing techniques. The fish lived in London Zoo after capture and was later displayed as she is here. She's expected to sell for up to £40,000. Here's Ben Jones with the details.
Beautiful specimen there, as you can see. A world record at the time in 1952, caught by famous author and writer Mr. Richard Walker. So we're very pleased to have this up for auction on the 24th and 5th of July. Not to be missed, it's going to create some interest. One of the most important specimens out there that's on the market today. So very pleased to have this one.
You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. And David is delighted that you've been liking and subscribing under our films. Feel free to keep doing that. David has been working his socks off, putting together this month's Farming Britain. Here's a preview. The focus is on agri-tech with drones and robots. There's a test flight to see if natural seaweed fertiliser can be spread on farmland, and the pilot is a Ukrainian farmer whose farm and greenhouses were destroyed in the war. Plus, after blood, sweat and tears, Charlotte Ashley finally takes delivery of her Jersey herd, which will be milked automatically using robots. Click on the link below to watch that. Now, if you live in the UK and not under a stone, you may have noticed that there is a general election on the 4th of July 2024. The manifestos aren't out yet. We'll know a lot more when they are. I have been off to find out what this election may mean for field sports in the UK, talking to ex-MP Neil Parish.
At the moment where you're trail hunting and not actually after killing the fox, then I think, you know, it has a really good future for as an entertainment sport rather than a blood sport. And I think perhaps that's the other thing you've got to emphasise, that with the Hunting Act, it's not a blood sport any longer.
More from Neil, including his side of the story about why he resigned as an MP, in the full film, which you can watch by following the link below. Next, we're off to Shropshire, where we gave away a gun on a simulated game day in a Fieldsports Extra competition. This is what Halston Sporting has to offer. It's that part of the English countryside where you can easily find yourself weaving in and out of Wales. If you're on the right track, you'll end up at the Halston estate for a chilled day's shooting, hosted by owners Rupert and Harriet Harvey.
We offer very much the relaxed, informal type shooting. What we tend to do is we'll have 3 drives in the morning and have lunch either outside or inside sometimes, and then a further 2 or 3.
We try and keep the day sort of in a similar style to a driven bird day.
It's a promotional day, and we have a number of locals. Greg Morris is it, and he's a gunsmith, and he's been involved in repairing some of our guns. And we have John Gittins, who was a part of our syndicate. He's an excellent shot, and he'll be very noticeable because
he won't miss much.
He won't miss much.
Among today's small group is Fieldsports Extra lucky draw winner Colin French.
It's obviously a lovely estate, and we've been lucky with the weather. They've got great ground for it, and it's nicely set up. They've got plenty of cover to put the traps in. It's very good.
It's not all shooting. The picturesque surroundings complement the cordial atmosphere the Harveys are creating.
Mostly what we do is ensure that the guns have a fun day out. It's the social atmosphere that is more important necessarily than the shooting. The shooting is a given.
Colin's had a marvellous day. Well, I hope he's had a marvellous day. He's our prize winner, and it's been a good day for everybody, I think.
It's a very sort of social day. It's been set up, a group of people who don't really know each other, so it's been good meeting different people.
Yeah, I think it's just an amazing opportunity to be here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a great event. Good social, very laid back, good food, nice welcome this morning with a breakfast.
What more do you want in surroundings like this? I think for me personally, it's the history of the place as much as anything else. I mean, there's so much historical background to it.
Halston, while being a small estate, does have a lot to offer. We have the history with Jack Mitten, the Mitten family, who owned the estate, with Jack Mitten, who's quite well known for having a bear in the house.
If he had hiccups, he'd set himself on fire and run around the hall naked.
He used to have dinner parties and then hold up the guests as a highwayman.
His coffin is in the basement of the chapel there, with the bear skin still over it.
So he's a well-known, shall we say, Regency rake. I think that's how you describe him.
The Harveys are not relying on the estate's rich history alone. Their eyes are firmly fixed on the future.
Halston, while being a small estate, does have a lot to offer. The aim is to make it a family business. We have two young boys, Archie and Charlie, Charlie being the 15-year-old and Archie being the 17-year-old. It's quite a good learning curve for the young to manage a business, to organise an event and to take it on, because partly like a lot of estates, especially ours, we do a lot of different things. The estate, the house, has a lot of history going for it, and if we can get the young involved, then we'll leave it into the next generation to take it forward, which in today's world is very important. And this is one small step in doing that.
For more about Halston Sporting and Gun Shop Rural Sports, which put the day together, there are links in the description below.
Thanks to all who took part and organised that. Next, Cai Ap Bryn is cooking venison burgers.
Okay, Cai, firm favourite, venison burger, but we're going large, yes?
We love a venison burger, as you can probably tell by now. We've done so many of these. It's a gift that keeps on giving. We've got a new pack of seasoning here from Weschenfelder. They've sent this down to us. It just says Leonard's gluten-free game burger mix. There we go. And just like any of their products, it's got all the kind of quantities and ratios on the bag. So I've just minced up 400 grams of venison. I've got 200 grams of pork mince. So I'm going to put a bit of pork in this one. I'll change it up all the time. My favourite is still the venison with salt and pepper. But to do these in batches, it works better with this way with the pork. I'm going to add my seasoning in there. And the water. Just going to mix it all in and then use my hand, just knead all this together. So I've got these two lovely balls here that I'm going to patty them up. I've got these plastic discs that they sent me as well, that you can get, and the fancy burger press here. I've already attempted a few earlier on, so I'm just going to squeeze these down and then place this over the top and press down. Hopefully we'll have a... Yeah. I'll take that one as a first go.
First go.
Okay, well, I've done this before, but not with a 5-incher. There we go. These are bigger than the ones we've done before. When we did the last video, I think they were 4-inch. These are 5. And these should make exceptionally good burgers. So let's put them on the pan and try them out. There we go, leave that on there for a few minutes and then we'll flip them over. Just had a little rummage in the fridge and I've got some of this smoked Bavarian cheese, which would be quite nice. So I'm just going to layer this on. I've just cut it up, so they're not in slices, I've just cut it up. We let that melt, I'll put something over that. I made a homemade ketchup, it's got a bit of spice in it. I'll put a bit of top and bottom so it just keeps it nice and moist. Good old shredded lettuce and some tomato. You don't like your gherkins, do you? So I won't put any gherkins on there for you.
That's good.
Let's give this a go, shall we?
Very aggressive.
I just like to get stuck in. That's a nice burger. This is a great recipe to do if you want to do a batch of burgers. What I tend to do is I get an oven tray, parchment paper, and I line my burgers in and put them in the freezer. They'll go hard and then I'll backpack them. These type of burgers are great for that, so you can just kind of bring them out whenever you want from the freezer for a quick meal.
Thank you, Cai. Next up, Terry Doe is teaching Reece Chart about advanced airgun shooting techniques to improve his accuracy. It's Terry Doe's Airgun Academy.
Here we are at Bisley again. Lovely sunny day. Got young Reece ready to go. And he's done so well in his first 2 lessons that we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it now. We're going to get into the refinement, the precision stuff. And we're going to begin with the most fundamental principle of all, trigger technique. Okay, now Reece, you've already done really well without me giving you any sort of lessons at all. What I want you to do now is to show even more control of the trigger. Cock the rifle, please, don't load it. Just cock it, push forward. Now, hand around the grip, finger on the trigger. Be looking down the scope, that's it. Now, when you engage that trigger, okay, put your finger on the trigger, put your finger at the bottom of the trigger blade. That's it. Creep it forward a little bit so that it's wrapped around. That's it there. Now, when you start to squeeze that back, feel it stop before it fires. Did you feel it stop? Yep. You did, didn't you? That's called the first stage. And what you do when you're shooting a target, you take that first stage up with your finger, and when you're ready to release, you squeeze the second stage. Now take up the second stage and fire. That's it. Perfect. Perfect. Now, I want you to do that every single time you shoot.
All right.
All right? So what you don't do is, if your crosshairs are moving around, you don't pull the trigger and try and catch the target on the way past.
Yeah.
That's not what we do. This is precision. It's a recoilless rifle. It's an extremely accurate little thing, this Minotaur. I've shot groups with it that 3 times, 4 times that distance, you could just about poke your little finger in. It's so accurate. So we make the most of that by using the trigger properly, okay? So now, Reece, we're going to bring it all together.
Yep.
We're going to get your head position. Now, since we moved that scope forward in the last lesson, you are acquiring that sight picture far better. You look more natural and you look more relaxed now. You're really getting into it, okay? Now, hold your finger exactly where it is. That's perfect. Right at the bottom of the blade, so you get the most leverage on the blade. It's a great little trigger, this. It's just about right for precision shooting. And the other thing you're already doing, I don't know where you're getting these sneaky lessons from, but the other thing you're already doing is you're staying behind the scope and carrying on looking through.
Yeah.
Right, well that means that as you release that shot, you're not going to disturb the rifle until the pellet leaves it. If you were to squeeze that trigger and then suddenly pick your head up and have a look down range, you'd actually cause a wobble within the rifle before the pellet's out. And that will result in inaccuracy. It's called follow through, and it's an advanced technique that even shooters who've been shooting for 20 odd years quite often don't do. Now go on, then load it up. I know you want to. That's it. So what target are you shooting at? Those?
The yellow.
The yellow swingers at, oh, of course you started at maximum distance then, of course you have. Okay, go on. And yes, perfect hit. Perfect hit. Well done. Go on, do it one more, just to show that wasn't a fluke.
Just to show I'm amazing.
Just to show you're amazing, yes. And so shy. Do you know when you get over the shyness, I think you'll be all right. Go on. That's it. That is perfect. That looks so natural now, and you've got your head straight behind that scope every time. And I'll tell you something else. It actually speaks about the precision of that little scope rail, because I slid that scope forward and I didn't re-zero it. Normally you would have to re-zero, and you're still hitting those targets every single time. That is good. No, genuinely, that is good. It's good all round.
Thanks, Terry and Reece. Next, from airguns to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, brought to you by James Marchington. It is Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the latest and best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. Here's what I picked for you this week. First up, Keith Warren is hunting alligators the hard way. He shoots a wild pig for bait, ties it down at the water's edge, and waits in the tree above to spear the biggest alligator with a hand-thrown harpoon. Next, the Clark boys in New Zealand are dashing through the bush with their dogs, hunting wild pigs and hoping to catch up with a legendary monster-sized hog nicknamed Bigfoot. Over to the States, and Team Radical have located a pack of coyotes. They come up with a plan, brave the mosquitoes, and call in a big male to less than 20 yards. More close-range stuff from the Untamed, who are calling in turkeys. 3 of the birds sneak in from behind, but the guys don't dare swing round to take the shot. Meanwhile, Dana from Mountain Sport Airguns is camping out in the mountains with his young daughter, who seems happy to join in as he hunts ground squirrels with a 50 foot-pound 2.2 PCP airgun. Back to the UK, and Chef Mike Robinson has released the latest in his series on stalking and cooking the various deer species. In this one, he's culling late-season fallow and showing how to cook a delicious fallow parve at home. Next, this film follows a group of Oxfordshire farmers on their annual visit to West London Shooting School. They're certainly enjoying themselves, and it's always interesting to see how a non-shooting channel portrays our sport. And finally this week, here's a poignant film from Ed Swales of Hunting Kind, bidding farewell to foxhounds that are redundant following the new Scottish legislation. They're off to France, where they'll hunt on. That's it for this week. I've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you'd like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email me the link, jamesm@fieldsportschannel.tv.
And that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click like us there on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, pop your email address into our register page, and we'll contact you about the show. Fieldsports Britain, it's out 7 PM UK time every Wednesday. And this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.